Welcome to Birth Words. This is episode number 58. Today I get to talk with Alleah Clarke about her work with the Partners Workshop and her work as a doula as she supports couples through pregnancy and birth, and the role that language and communication, both verbal and nonverbal, play in that process.
Welcome to Birth Words. Words are powerful. What are you doing with yours? In this podcast, birth doula and applied linguistics scholar Sarah Pixton invites you to be intentional, reflective, and empowering with your language as we come together to honor those who give birth. The work of Birth Words is to elevate the language surrounding pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as medical advice.
Alleah Erica Clarke is an advanced trained yoga teacher, proficient in teaching seniors, adults, children, and pregnant students with a specialty in gestational support. With a deep passion to help those around her to reconnect to their breath, their bodies, and their inner light, Alleah Erica finds great joy in aiding students to connect to their inner selves by way of movement and assistance from those who support them. Having experienced a loss of a precious loved one, Alleah has made a lifelong commitment to help support and coach women and their partners as a yoga teacher, childbirth educator, gestational coach, to have healthier pregnancies, stronger bodies, and foster bonds between mom, partner, and baby, gestationally and in postpartum. Working with prenatal and postnatal students, she is enabled to combine her immense love of yoga, healthy living, and the beauty of motherhood with her love for children, all while having fun. Welcome, Alleah, to the Birth Words podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sarah. I really greatly appreciate being a part of your mission.
Yeah, thank you for being willing to talk about your area of expertise and the role that words play in it. And I'm sure that our listeners and I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the role of language in the partner relationship. Before we jump into that, though, can you give us a little background about how did you come into birth work?
Well, I actually, from my own personal experience, I experienced my miscarriage of my little girl, and the experience motivated me to want to change that outcome and experience for other women, other moms. It was such a cold experience, actually, and I just couldn't settle with it. So I said, you know what? I would like to find a way to connect the body, help people to relax, and then, have better bonds with themselves and as well as their babies. And so in 2011 is when my little one chose her wings, and 2012 is when I started the mission to become a yoga teacher. And so I went into teaching yoga to 2013 and immediately went to my training for prenatal yoga and children's yoga. And so it was this roller coaster of like, I want to learn more. I want to do this, and I want to help this way. And eventually what happened, I had left to Southeast Asia, studied Thai massage. And I said, oh, my moms are going to love this, in class. And it's so great of an experience. And then I was flying back, and I said, it's such a huge window that I don't see my moms. They leave me around like maybe 36, 37 weeks, because of course things may change in the body and exhaustion sets in and all kinds of emotions. And sometimes it's a little work, too much work to get to a yoga class. So I may not see them, right before they go into labor. and then I don't see them till like maybe 6 or so weeks after. And so I'm like, what can I do to really connect that gap? And so on my flight back from Thailand, I said, you know what? I want to be a doula and, start to coach my women, not only just in the birth experience, but throughout the whole gestational period. And I took a childbirth education class shortly after my doula training. And then one of my moms came to me and she said, you know what? I really would love you to teach my partner this. Class is amazing. I love it. But when I leave here, I can't take you with me. And so if you can teach my husband, all the things and tricks you've taught me, because it feels great, but I want to feel it at home. And I said, sure. I would love to help you during your gestation and your partner. And that's actually what started, the passion to work with partners and gestation and the actual birth experience. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for taking your difficult situation and turning outward and finding out how you could serve others from it. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I attribute my journey to my angel, and I always look back, the reverse butterfly effect, and I look back to that day that, things changed for me. And, I always say that she is the reason why I'm able to make such a difference in so many women's lives, because of, my love to connect and to give them better experiences. And so I'm grateful for her, even though she has her wings. I'm grateful that, she's looking over me and, and making sure the little ones make it earthside. So I'm grateful.
Beautiful. What a nice connection. I love too that you have filled in this space that as a yoga teacher, you were kind of left out of, both with your doula work and your childbirth educator and the partners workshop. So so I want to talk with you some more about the partners workshop that you do. I know that you do a lot of work preparing birth partners to be positive supports in the birth space. So what advice would you give to partners about the language they choose as they prepare for the birth experience during gestation, during pregnancy? What language should partners be using as they prepare?
Oh my goodness. It's everywhere from, upliftment to even love language. It's speaking the language that, not necessarily, the fluffy, like, hey, you're doing great, or, but the language of understanding, the language of compassion, the language of empathy. And even though there may not be a direct understanding, but it's a kindness of words. The language that they're using is, you're not just making the baby by yourself. Even though you are, bearing the child, I am with you, and it's that companionship and that reminder that the road to, the changes that are happening in the body may be felt solely to you, but that does not mean that I'm not here to help. And so that language is, assisting, it is encouraging, it is empowering, it is, just the right words when they need to be heard. And again, it may not even come out verbally, but the language may be spoken physically. It may be, maybe they're doing a little foot massage, or there's a gentle touch to kind of give that encouragement that, like, the body's a little exhausted, but you know what? You're doing great. And I don't have to tell you verbally you're doing great. Maybe I can rub you on your back and you can feel the love through my exchange. And so partners can speak in all different verbal words, as well as nonverbal words, as well as body words, as well as love languages. And so I always say that partners should kind of ask their moms what it is that they really want to hear. because a mom may want to know she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she's amazing. But then there's also moms that want to hear that she's strong, that she's the most beautiful, being ever. And some moms may not want to hear those words. And so you want to be able to speak the things that she feels will encourage and lift her journey, and it be genuine from a genuine space, because that partner connected with what it is that she needed to keep the journey feeling light and easy and welcome. So that's my biggest encouragement is ask her, ask your partner what they want to hear.
Yeah, I love that it's so tied up in the relationship, like you're talking about. This is really just getting to know each other and preferences, and it's just this beautiful bonding relationship can be built during this amazing time.
Right. It's a nourishing experience. 9 months can really change relationships. And, my goal with the Partners Workshop is to really harness the power of the 9 months, and a lot of the times, and I love what you're doing in regards to like birth room, what would you say during your birth experience? And I always look at it as, look at the months before. You have so many words that you can build on. If I tell you I love you and you get this beautiful feeling with you, that I love you can come back in the birth room, and next, that beautiful feeling turns into a release of oxytocin, and it's making your strides. And so, it's even practicing these words beforehand, just like with the Partners Workshop, it's physical practice, meaning, you're actually growing with and changing with the body. You asked, what would be encouraging for a partner to say, but with the Partners Workshop, it's almost like as your body's changing consistently, it's every second of the day, of the moment of the pregnancy, your body's changing. And so what you may love today may change tomorrow. And then what you may want this week is absolutely, you don't want it anywhere near your third trimester. But if you're working with the body every day, then you get to learn, the things that you love. And then your partner also knows what you love as well. And so then it becomes this song and dance that almost becomes nonverbal. Is like, I want you to get to the space and say, I'm in the birth room, I'm in my moment. And the words that you're speaking are the touch, are the encouragement, are the right hip squeeze that feels amazing, with counter pressure, but you practiced. And so it allows the practice from the moment gestation begins to every week, to every trimester, and then into the birth room. And so it's not just the practice of when you feel that, oh, now's the time, but it's that bonding, it's that growth, it's that learning the body. And partners can learn the body. They can ask, and one thing in the Partners Workshop that I offer for people to learn is tactile exchange. That's the term tactile exchange is literally, you show me how I want to feel it in my body. And so I'm able to touch you and like, I want to feel like this. And then you mirror that. And did I get that right? And that exchange back and forth, then the pressure is right, because some partners are really strong, but then they're like, oh, that's too much. That's a little rough. But if you show me, I want it to feel like this, and I mirror that exchange to you, I'm more aligned with the pressure you're looking for versus me imposing and putting my pressure of what I think you want. But now that you've given me a tactile exchange, I know what you want because you've shown me. And so that's where, that bond, that relationship building, that encouragement with words, non-verbally and verbally, grows so organically with connection into the birth room. And so, yeah.
I love it. I love how you were talking about, well, a lot of things. Something that really stuck with me was how you're talking about change during pregnancy, and it changes from day to day what's going to be the right communication exchange between partners. And I thought about how during pregnancy, we often get so excited about the change that the baby's making, right? We'll look at our little apps or in pregnancy books that like, wow, baby grew this much and the baby's working on their fingernails this week, and we get so excited. But sometimes when that change is happening in your body, it can feel so frustrating. Like, why is my last week I liked this and now it's different? But you're so excited that your baby's changing, and it's just, I love the way you're talking about a way to just like embrace and work with the fluidity of that change. And it's great that you're different last week than you were this week, because the human inside of you is so different, and your relationship is probably different in response.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
cool. I like it.
It is. I definitely love, and I love adapting change. You know, the quote is, change is the most constant thing in life.
Yeah.
And when we can flow with it, it actually practices the mama, you know, in training for her to deal with the changes of transition to labor, from labor into, and so if she's practicing change and not, you know, forming attachment to like the one thing that was right, but it's not, it even helps her as a parent. And the little one doesn't want to sleep, or the little one is like, I really like this, but I don't like this anymore. And so that adaptation is a muscle that can be practiced and worked out so that, you know, the parent muscle is strong on the other end. So.
Good. Yeah. So as we change, as we move from pregnancy into the birth space, you've talked some about how we're transferring this relationship that you've been building up the whole time, but do you have any other thoughts about how partners can be supportive with their language in the birth space? And maybe if there are things that they should avoid saying or communicating?
Well, from my experience as a doula, I'm grateful for the 13 births I've attended. And I always remember that number because Lucky 13 was such a beautiful birth.
Good.
And from the experiences working with the 13, all of the partners, and I am honored to have worked with them gestationally, but all of the partners were super supportive in regards to empowerment and encouragement. So there was always, sweetheart, you're doing amazing, or I'm with you. That was one that just I've heard quite a few times in different ways. I'm with you. I'm here. What do you need? I'm like, you know, and not necessarily leaving the charge to her to like give him a to-do list, but more of like anything that you want, anything that I can do, anything that will help you transition to what you need.
Yeah.
I'm present. I'm here. And so that was one of the things I would always say is it's hard to watch your partner in pain, and especially one you can't remedy. And when a partner is present, even in all of that, and able to be supportive, the words are full of encouragement, are exactly the upliftment that she needs to continue to feel supported. So supporting not just the physical, but the actual verbal, and even you know, the touch as well. What I do discourage is expressing the self in her space. And you know, I've had some, you know, experiences where family members wanted to be in the birth space, and they had exhaustion, or they were tired, or they were ready for the baby to come, and they had their needs or preferences. And you can't put that demand on a mom. You have to be just as patient, if not even more patient than the mom, because it's a process. It's a time. It took time for the baby to develop. It's also going to take time for baby to arrive. And so the aversion that I would always advise for people is to not to rush the process. Take it gently and encourage her along the way, no matter how exhausted you are. She's probably 100 times more exhausted. So you always want to make sure you feel that energy, you speak that energy as much as and as often as you can, as a partner.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I would love to continue just chatting about this, and I wish I could go to your workshop. I'm a little far away from it, but I appreciate you taking some time to just give us a little glimpse into what happens in your workshop and share your thoughts about these things.
I appreciate you for even giving me the platform to share why I'm so enthusiastic and excited, and even invigorated by partnerships and the love and the extra love when there's a baby on the way. So I'm grateful for you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you being on my podcast. I love having a podcast because I get to talk to so many amazing birth workers all over the country and just hear about their different passions and experiences and expertise. And I just love talking to all of you. So you specifically today, it's been fabulous.
I'm grateful. Well, I'm not sure if you've had anyone in Toronto. I'm totally across the border in Canada.
I have had one other Canadian in, can't remember what city. She maybe is in Toronto as well. Is Babel Mia near you?
Oh, yes.
Are they in Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had them. So
they're in Ontario.
Oh, okay. Well, you're the second.
No,
Canadian
Toronto's really small. It's like super small, but everyone knows Toronto because it's such a vibrancy. But I thought the same thing. But no, Ontario's pretty. It's pretty small, but Toronto's like a stone's throw wide, but it really represents the greater Toronto area. But yeah, Bobo-Mira is really, it's close, but it's not necessarily in the district of Toronto, but it's still, it's in Ontario.
Okay. Well, thank you for being the international representation on the podcast.
I appreciate you, Sarah. I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for your evening and the time to share with you and talk with you. So I look forward to.
Sorry, Alleah.
No.
Really fast before you go, I want to make sure I have a chance to ask you 2 wrapping up questions.
Sure.
First is, if you had to choose one word to sum up what we've been talking about tonight, what word would it be?
Partnership.
Yes. Excellent. I think we can all see that in your work. And then the last one is, I want to make sure before you go, I want to make sure that our listeners know where to find you. If you have, I know you have a website you want to point them towards maybe, or social media, where can they get in touch with you to find out more about the work you're doing?
So same name for Instagram, Facebook, and website. It's thepartnersworkshop.com, the Partners Workshop Instagram, the Partners Workshop at Facebook, and it's ThePartners Workshop, WORKSHOP. And you can find me on the same name across board, and even email. So if you're wanting to ask questions or have questions and want to directly get to me, it's the Gmail, Instagram, Facebook, and .com at the Partners Workshop.
Perfect. And I will tag those when I post your episode, and people can
make sure that they can click right through and find out about the work you're doing. Okay, now you can go, now that we've given them all the information. Thank you so much for joining me.
Have a great night, and thank you so much.
You
Bye-bye.
too, Alleah. Thanks.
If you're interested in sharing your ideas or experiences on the podcast, go to birthwords.com. If you're liking what you hear, please leave a review on your podcast app. For more resources about language for a better birth, subscribe to the monthly newsletter at birthwords.com and follow Birthwords on Instagram and Facebook.